Okay, now that we know all the different parts of speech that we're going to be talking about, now we can talk about sentence structure. So this is the first video about sentence structure. We're going to start with the subject. So the subject is a noun that represents who or what the sentence is about. So for example, the subject can be the person who does the action in the sentence. Josh kicks the ball. So Josh is the person doing something in the sentence, so Josh is the subject. It can also be a thing that does the action. So Josh kicks the ball, and in the next sentence, the ball flew through the air. So the ball is the one doing something. The ball is doing the action. So the ball is the subject. Essentially, the sentence is about the ball. So that makes the ball the subject. A subject can also be the person being described in the sentence, not necessarily doing something, but being described. So in this example, Josh was shocked to see how far the ball went. So Josh isn't doing anything, but he's being described as being shocked. So he's still what the sentence is about, and that makes him the subject. Likewise, a subject can be the thing being described in the sentence. So the ball was lost in the woods. Again, the ball isn't doing anything anymore, but it's being described as now lost. So the ball is still what the sentence is about, which makes it the subject. The subject usually comes at the beginning of the sentence. So for example, Quentin found his shoes. The sentence is about Quentin. Quentin is the subject of the sentence. My car is rolling down the street. My car is the subject of the sentence. And lastly, your homework won't do itself. The sentence is about your homework, so it is the subject of the sentence. In all those cases, it comes at the beginning of the sentence. That's kind of what you're used to. Back from when you first started reading, they didn't give you sentences where the subject was hard to find. It would be Spot ran fast. So Spot is the subject. However, sometimes the subject is harder to find, especially when you start to read more sophisticated writing with more sophisticated sentences. Then the subject can be more difficult to find. So let's look at some examples. After all that whining, she didn't even eat her ice cream. So who is the sentence about? It's about this she, whoever she is. She's what the sentence is about. So she's the subject. Next one. When the girl spoke to him, Ethan nearly peed his pants. Ethan is the subject. Surrounded by darkness, the candle seemed bright. The candle is what the sentence is about. And then finally, flying toward us was a bright red kite. Well, what was flying toward you? A bright red kite was. So a bright red kite, coming at the very end of the sentence, is the subject. You can break it down even further. The simple subject is the main noun or nouns in the subject. So for example, the most important person on the team is the quarterback. Technically, the subject of the sentence would be this big long phrase here, the most important person on the team, because that's who the sentence is about. But if we broke it down, what is the main noun in that phrase? It would be person. So that's the simple subject. So if we go back to the examples we just looked at, these don't really count because the subjects are the simple subjects. But in this one, for instance, the candle is the subject, but the simple subject would just be candle. In the last one, we have the subject is a bright red kite, but what would the simple subject be? Just kite. It's the main noun. There's also such a thing as a compound subject, which is a subject made up of two or more simple subjects that have the same predicate. We'll talk about predicates later, but you'll understand a compound subject. So an example of a compound subject would be, Kevin and Winnie are going to the museum. The sentence is about both Kevin and Winnie, and the verb are applies to both of them, so it's a compound subject. Next, we'll look at predicates and phrases and things like that. See you next time.